Welcome back to our final Last of Us Monday of 2025, and probably until 2027, because for some reason, this piece of shit show takes 2 years to make, which is a little bit longer than the games take to make. Probably gonna be waiting 6-7 years before we ever get the third game. Probably even longer, to be honest. But yeah, I just watched the finale of The Last of Us Season 2, so this will be my review for pretty much the entire season. I will be spoiling things, so if you haven't watched The Last of Us Season 2, you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, you might want to click off. I will try not to spoil anything that's going to happen in Season 3, aka the second half of the second game. I won't really go into a lot of it, but I may dabble in some ideas and some references, so just be a little careful. Don't get mad at me if I accidentally spoil something. If you've been following along with my videos, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I have not been the biggest fan of this season. It's definitely had its moments where it started to pull me in and give me some of those vibes and a lot of the things that I loved about the game, because I am probably the biggest game fan you're ever going to find for this franchise. I love the first game. It's one of my favorite video games of all time, and I am the biggest defender of the second game. I think it is arguably the greatest game ever made, both from a gameplay point of view and also from a story point of view, which tells this incredibly immersive revenge story that uses the audience and the audience's emotions against itself. It purposefully makes you mad at the game and mad at the game developers to drive its thematical story, which I appreciate. I absolutely loved it. Now, the show had a tall task in adapting that story for a couple different reasons. One of those main reasons is the casting of Season 1. When they casted Bella Ramsey as Ellie, the intention was not to take a long period of time before going into Season 2. It was to jump right into Season 2. The issue with that, in the game, Ellie is a kid in the first game, and then there's a very big time jump going into the second game, and Ellie becomes a goddamn adult. Not only an adult, but a badass adult. An adult that looks completely different and feels different than the character from the first game. This is an older, more gritty, more aged, and angry character. It's not the goofy, bubbly Ellie that we get in the first game, and that contrast is what makes that game so devastating to play through at times. Now, the show had a major issue from the start because Bella Ramsey does not look like 7-8 years older. She does not look like this grown adult, and they also wrote the character in this season to continue being that bubbly, goofy teenager from the first season, which does not fit with the story being told here. Now, the story that is being told here, yet again, spoiler alert, is that Joel dies. Yeah, very early in this season and in the game, Joel gets killed by this girl named Abby. In the game, we don't know why Abby's killed Joel. We don't understand her motivations. We just know she killed Joel, and now we have to go kill Abby because she's a dick, and how dare she kill our Joel. And Ellie's pissed, and she's sad, and she's depressed, and I need to kill her. I need to find her and her friends, and I need to rip her apart. In the show, it's immediately told to the audience and basically Ellie exactly who Abby is. She's this girl that has a pretty justifiable reason to want to kill Joel, which is really taking away a lot of that anger that the audience is supposed to feel for this character, a lot of the rage that this audience is supposed to feel for this character, and that Ellie's supposed to feel. And they translate that by taking this character of Ellie, who's supposed to be fueled with rage and anger and revenge throughout the entirety of the season or the game, and instead she's not really that upset, it seems. For the majority of this season, Ellie, it doesn't even seem like it was much of an inconvenience that Joel was killed. It's hard to buy into the idea that she would trek across the country all the way to Seattle, into this war-torn Seattle that is currently a hellscape, to find and kill one person because she is so desperately enraged and miserable and fueled with revenge that she can't think of doing anything else. You don't feel that watching the show, not even for a second. Whereas in the game, it's the entire driving force of the story. The game is relentless in its drive towards revenge, so much so that it's sort of grim. It's not really enjoyable at any point to play through, and that's the point. This show, this season, should not have been very enjoyable to watch. And you're like, what? I mean, this season should have been significantly more grim than that first season. Dark, brutal, an Ellie that feels completely different than what she was in that first season, completely detached from that goofy, bubbly version of her teenage self, to becoming this bloodthirsty maniac who can only see one thing and one thing only, and that is her dedication to revenge, her dedication to avenging Joel. Instead, we don't get that. We get Goofy Ellie traveling with Goofy Dina, who I do like in the season, as Goofy Jesse and Goofy Tommy chase after them. We don't get Terminator Tommy, right? In the game, of course, Tommy goes off to Seattle ahead of Ellie and becomes the frickin' Terminator, and you meet him there. Here, Tommy's coming to stop Ellie because he doesn't care that much about Joel, I guess, in the show. show. It's just all such a mess, and none of it works, man. Ellie as a character does not work in this season, which is what makes it such a disaster. And I know a lot of people are griping on Bella Ramsey and her performance, which isn't exactly great, but it's not just her. A big part of the reason this season fails is because of the writing given to her. They made a strategic decision to not change that character from the first game, despite the fact that there is A, time jump, and B, the fact that Joel dies right in front of her. They thought instead of showing this brutal, grim character that she becomes, let's have her bottle it down. Let's play a bottle it down arc where Ellie is bottling down all of her rage and her anger and her depression and sadness, and she's being bubbly and fun and happy, and only in distinct moments we get that rage and that sorrow. The issue is, I don't think Bella Ramsey is a good enough actress to really perform that idea. At least she wasn't good enough in this season with both the writing and just her performance. It never sells that idea of she's bottling up the rage. So what it comes off as instead is that there is no rage. She doesn't care that Joel died, and then just randomly, when she sees certain characters, she gets mad and turns into a rage machine. It just never works. It never works, and it's never good. And yeah, there are some moments and some episodes that I think do it better than others. I think the finale, for the most part, was probably the best episode of the season, or one of the better episodes. There's a great moment where Ellie confronts two of Abby's friends, her boyfriend and the pregnant girl. I'm sorry, I can't remember their names. And in the game, the scene plays out very different, and they changed it a lot in the show, or at least the way Ellie ends up killing them. In the game, Ellie just sort of brutally murders them, where in the show, it's kind of an accident. At least one of them dies in accident. But the way they sell the pregnant girl and the sacrifice, the cost of Ellie's revenge mission, I thought was well done. It was a well-made scene. The issue is, the scene didn't feel earned. Because in the game, when you get to that scene, you have been playing as Ellie for 10 hours. You have been killing hundreds and hundreds of people. Really, like dozens, but it feels cooler to say hundreds. Ellie's a badass in the game. You've been mowing through Seattle looking for Abby, and everybody around you has been telling you, Ellie, we have to go home. This is going too far. Ellie, this is going too far. And Ellie's like, no, I gotta find her. I gotta kill her. And it's in that moment right there when you meet those two characters and Ellie kills both of them and realizes one of them is pregnant, that Ellie realizes, oh my god, yes, this has gone too far. My rage, my anger, it has led me to doing something evil. And in the show, you still get that moment, but it's not earned because we haven't felt this bitter, angry, rage Terminator Ellie that has been going through Seattle just wrecking through everybody. It doesn't feel like she sacrificed that much of herself in her quest for revenge yet. So it just makes the whole moment and the whole story just feel empty. Now, I will say, I do have some high hopes for Season 3, because I do think a full season based around Abby, although it might piss off a lot of viewers that are not expecting it, yeah, guess what? Season 3 is going to be all Abby, guys. I do think Kaitlyn Dever is an exceptional actress, and I think the Abby storyline mends itself a little bit better for television. I think they have a blank slate with Abby right now, mainly because a lot of people didn't like the take on that character in the game, and also because we haven't really seen any of these characters on screen yet. We've only gotten real little glimpses in, obviously, the Joel death scene. But I think a season about her and Seattle and her fight against the Scars and all the stuff that happens that I won't go into, I think could really mend itself well to television. And that's really my only hope, because everything else here is garbage. This season really is a disaster, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season. I'm not somebody sitting here going, wow, Season 1 was a masterpiece. I'm super, super disappointed. I was a little bit let down by a lot of Season 1, but there were still so many great moments, so many great adaptation moments that were just ripped right from the game and done perfectly on screen. So many new moments, changes, like the Bill episode that I thought was phenomenal. There was such good television to be found in that first season, such great acting, and I feel like it was all lost here. They just lost the core of what the game was supposed to be. Whereas in the first season, even when it wasn't great, they still understood the core of what The Last of Us Part 1 was. Here, they don't get at all what The Last of Us Part 2 is, which is crazy because Neil Druckmann is one of the main showrunners. Neil Druckmann, who's the director of the second game. It really feels like the reaction, or that first reaction that came from the gaming world when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, which was very negative at the time. It was a very negative reaction. That really must have hit home for Neil Druckmann. Now, I feel like that game has aged better. I think most people have come around to really love and appreciate that game's story, but it seems like Neil Druckmann does not. It's not aged well with him at all, which is why he's like trying to rewrite it here, but the story doesn't work being rewritten. It's just a bummer, man. This could have been so great, and it just ended up being kind of a disaster. And I know there's people that love it out there. Maybe you never played the game, maybe you did and you're just delusional, or I don't know, or maybe you just liked it. What am I complaining? What am I calling you out for liking something? If you liked it, I'm happy for you. I wish I did. But I didn't have a good time with it. It was very disappointing. But luckily, the one saving grace of The Last of Us this year was hour and a half after The Last of Us premiered every Sunday, we had the rehearsal from Nathan Fielder. If you're not watching the rehearsal, hey guys for watching, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more notifications. I'll see you in the next one.